Hello, it's nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. I don't know if you know this about me, have seen or heard it anywhere, but I have never, ever, not once completed a TBR. I don't know what it is. Me and TBRs, we're kind of like distant cousins. We like kind of know each other, but like we don't totally click. We don't fit together, you know? So 9 times out of 10, unless I'm extremely overwhelmed and I want to read way too many books, I don't make a TBR. However, I would love to complete one of these days. I would. I filmed this video one other time and I miserably failed that time that I tried. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So here we are, expecting a different result, and we are going to attempt to read my 8-book TBR in a week. Not even a week. Today is October 26th. I have like a really busy next couple of days. I don't know what I'm thinking. However, attempt we shall. We are going to attempt to read my entire 8-book TBR between now and October 31st. So we have like a cute 5 days. Wow. Yeah, no. I mean, I think we can both agree I'm probably gonna fail. But you know what? Stranger things have occurred. I have 8 books on my TBR for this month, and I actually let you guys vote and pick on Instagram. And that video went up at the very beginning of the month. So if you've seen that, you definitely know what books we're picking from. But our 8 books are Immortal Dark, The Unmaking of June Farrow, Long Shadow, Ninth House, The Deal, Stolen Heir, Belladonna, and Crooked Kingdom. And I have actually already read Belladonna and Immortal Dark. So I mean, like, we're down to 6. We're doing so good. I think I'm probably not going to read The Deal because that is going to be in a video that I have planned for next month. But other than that, the 5 books that we have left, and honestly, a lot of them are chunky, are up for grabs. Crooked Kingdom is a reread because I listened to it the first time I read it. I don't know how to say that. I listened to it the first time I ingested. No. I listened to it the first time I consumed that story. So I've never annotated it, and it is like such a 6-star read for me from last fall. And now the second time around, I listened to Six of Crows because I read that the first time, and then I'm gonna read the second. I'm over explaining. So I feel like it's kind of a cop-out for me to pick that for this. That being said, we have 5 days. We're gonna see realistically without me like really stressing about it. It's kind of gonna be a realistic week of reading in my life, but we are attempting to finish the TBR because the TBR should and could and would be finished. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda actually read my TBR and not left it to the last 5 days of the month. Come for the roller coaster, come for the ride. We're gonna attempt to read my 8-book TBR in a week. I don't know what we're gonna start with. I don't know what I'm feeling. I have a pretty like all over the place TBR. I would love to succeed. Like I would love, in my brain right now thinking about it, I want so badly to actually finish this TBR, but my expectations for myself in regards to that, the bar is on the floor. The bar is in hell. It's subterranean. We'll find out. Told me so, but the writing only 7 pages in is already making me feel that this is the type of thing that is going to make me sob. Filming on hair oiling day because I promise with everything in me, I see it too. I do, I see it too. put a picture of an egg up here, Maddie. I knew pretty much nothing going into this, okay? I think I knew that the main character's name was June Farrow and that the Farrow women had this family curse madness that followed them, and that was quite literally it. And even with that very limited amount of information, I feel like this is still not what I was expecting, which you might be asking me, what do you mean by that? And I fear I can't elaborate because I don't really know. Loving it right from the beginning. I think it took me a second to get into it. I did get into it a little while back. I'm on page 80 something now. I'm on chapter 8, and I noticed this morning while I was reading that I was like, oh wait, okay, yeah, no, I'm in there. I'm excited. I want to see what's gonna happen. I don't want to put this down. In the beginning, I was kind of like, I feel like I didn't really know what I was reading yet, like, and I wasn't in love with anybody yet, but I mean, it's the beginning of a book. But for some reason, the beginning of this book felt a little bit different than I was expecting it to. I feel like because it's been recommended to me based on some of my absolute favorite books, those books I do absolutely love, I'm going into this whether I want to or not with fairly high expectations, I cannot lie. Where I am right now is something just happened and there's a character that is irking me. Like, what do you mean you have all the answers and you're not doing anything about it? And I just texted Emily and was like, am I still gonna hate this character? And she was like, no, you're good. I promise you, everything is for a reason in that book, which, might I say, I'm even more intrigued than I was 5 minutes ago when I texted her that. We're following June Farrow, and she is kind of a convoluted past history thing, okay? All of the Farrow women have this madness that they develop, this curse-esque thing that develops into madness. Her grandmother always says, it's just, I'm in two places at once. I'm fine, but I'm in two places at once. Sounds terrifying. So June has known her entire life that she is going to eventually develop this curse, and she's been hearing and seeing things a little bit, but she doesn't want to tell the people in her life yet because her grandmother has been really sick, the grandmother who raised her. Now that she has passed away, it's amplified, and she can't really keep it a secret much longer that she is starting to develop these things that all of the women in her family had before her. Her mother, she never really met. She was found at 7 months old in the small town of Jasper that the Farrow women have always lived in, with her mother's locket just on a side street, and she was presumed to be about 7 months old, and then she was adopted and raised by her grandmother. And her mother's madness, Susanna Farrow's madness, developed I think a lot earlier than her grandmother's or other people in the family. And when she was pregnant, she was kind of coming out and in of disappearing from Jasper, and June has just always assumed that her mother like isn't around. She's not here anymore and there's nothing I can do about it. And June swears, as much as she wants to have a family, as much as she wants to live a very normal life, she knows that she can't. She has vowed that the Farrow curse, the Farrow madness is going to end with her. Now that her grandmother's passed away, she starts getting these clues, and things might not be as they seem. It's very much more mystery core than I was expecting. It's kind of reading like a historical fiction, and then I'll read something that says it's like pretty much present day, and I'm like, okay, wait, not historical fiction, there's a laptop right there. But that's kind of the energy it's giving. Like, I feel like it's equally so far literary fiction to fantasy. It's kind of like an Addie LaRue kind of literary fiction to fantasy elements, because I mean, like, there's definitely, I didn't know if there was gonna be fantasy in it, but like there's definitely things that aren't magical realism. Maybe there's some sort of not to this earth stuff going on. In the beginning, I was kind of like, it's good, we'll figure out where it goes, but I had really high expectations. And then I read like a huge chunk and I was like, whoa, wait, so much is happening, so much is going on. And then the thing that just happened that made me text Emily, I'm intrigued to see where this is gonna go. The writing isn't as like flowery, I think, as I was expecting, but like looking back, I have annotated a lot so far. It's very interestingly written, and it's very emotion driven. Like, I feel like the way that it's written just like pulls at your heart a little bit. It feels like it's gonna be an impactful read. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this. Also, it's only like 300 pages, so I'm almost a third of the way in, and I can confidently say, like 80 something pages in, that I understand why you recommended it to me, because y'all know me too well. This is the type of thing that I will probably sob at, but only the future knows. So we'll go back to actually reading it and see if that comes true. I just imagine a world that my heart is gonna just hurt for little Miss June Farrow, okay? She seems like such a good person. Why do bad things happen to good people in fictional worlds? So intrigued, but I am also so confused. Like, so many questions, no answers thus far. don't get on here and talk after finishing a book like literally right away, especially when I feel the way that I feel right now, which is that I have not even one singular ounce of a clue of an idea of where I am going to rate this. However, I feel like the Maddie that is sitting here right now who has no idea where this is going to sit. She just finished it seconds ago, literally finished it, sat down, is talking to you now. Future me knows what I ended up rating it and where my final thoughts sit. That's what future me decided on. However, I feel like present day me is the best person to review this book at the moment. At like the page 120 mark, okay, I feel like I was hit with a truck and I noticed that I was like, oh my god, I care so much about these characters. I'm so invested in this story. It got so good. This is a weird book to talk about and like try and recommend because I feel like the actual plot line and storyline and everything that goes on in this and like what was good about it, I don't want to tell you because I feel like it would ruin some of the book, but I feel like it's definitely on the back. Go into this one blind. There's a lot of like time travel, confusing elements that I feel like the way my brain works, I'm constantly trying to pick apart. So there were a lot of times in this book that I was like, but I don't, how do we get to C? Okay, I get it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm really good at just being like, okay, I accept it. If you're telling me, I believe it and it's totally fine. But for some reason, maybe just like this didn't find me at exactly the right moment to read it. I was questioning a lot of it. I really liked it. I cared about it. The story was really good. It felt very quaint and like a warm hug. Like it felt small, felt like a story. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt very much like this like wholesome, sweet, warm hug of a story. It's like literally just over 300 pages. It's exactly the length it should be. It does exactly what it should do. I really liked it. But then there was this big portion, not but then, as well as, it's not like a downfall, but there was this big portion at the end. There were a couple pages that I was like, oh my god, so much information is being thrown at me. I'm really trying to get it, but I'm gonna flip to the next page. I'm gonna keep going. And then if I'm still confused by the end, I can come back. And the moment I finished it, I texted Emily and I was like, so I did love it. I did love it. I found it a big twist, which, there were tears shed in this, okay? I did care. There were tears really shed. I loved them, but I can't get my mind past. There was some things that happened at the end, and I texted Emily and I was like, I loved it, but am I stupid? Am I missing something? And her response, I feel like, sums up reading in a nutshell, and I can relate to this far too heavily. And she said, honestly, I have no idea. I just nodded and accepted it as truth, which, yeah, that's kind of, I feel like, what you have to do. I don't know. I want to go back and see. I feel like there's a real chance my opinions on this are going to form more, but I feel like the Maddie that is sitting here right now, a little bit utterly, extremely confused, kind of sums up what the reading experience of this is like, because it's beautiful. The whole point of being alive is live a happy life and make an impact on the people around you, and that is a life well lived. Which it felt like a warm hug, but a warm hug that had time travel that I think I have to go back and make sure that I am understanding perfectly. There's like so many pages back in here that I want to go back and make sure that I got it right, but like not to any fault of its own. Look at the annotations in here, okay? Every other page. One of the most annotated books I now own. Oh my god, I feel like my brain is breaking. I'm still thinking about it. There were just so many loose threads, but not that they didn't tie up. I feel like things did tie up. I just feel like I haven't fully processed everything yet, but wow, was it impactful. I haven't felt this dumbfounded with coming up with an opinion for a book in quite some time, like maybe since the Atlas 6 series, because like that, you remember things a day later. They are like, oh my god, that was well placed, that was well timed, this story clicks in here. And I feel like I'm gonna have that with this, but I mean, the current Maddie sitting here right now, loved, sobbed, these characters ripped my heart out. I would recommend it. So beautiful. I don't totally understand it though. But on that note, we are already at October 29th, on October 29th, and this is the first book down. We better keep it moving. You might be asking yourself, Maddie, I mean, like, how much can you really do in the next 3 days? Which, fair question, but we've already made it this far. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna try. We're gonna try. I don't know how I'm supposed to think about anything else until I have all of the answers that my head is trying to comprehend. Future me here, because I have used a lot of my hours, a lot of critical thinking hours, used and abused my critical thinking skills, and I think what it boils down to is that this book found me at the wrong time. I feel like I'm always saying that this book found me at the right time, and I'm normally in the right mood for a book that's going to shatter my heart, but I think this book just found me at the wrong time. Like, I am 9 times out of 10 by myself, reading in my room, ready to feel all of the emotions. But even like finishing this book, going through the details of this book, there was like something on in the background. My boyfriend was working at the table across from me. Like, I feel like I didn't have the full locked inness to like be sobbing. You know what I mean? I genuinely believe and feel like if I read this at truly any other time, it would have been a 5 star. but I don't have 5-star feelings. It didn't give me 5-star feelings. This is the type of book that maybe now I have to reread because I feel like I was dissecting it too much. Like I was like trying to understand the time travelness of it a little too hard versus feeling all the feels. Don't get me wrong, I shed the tears. They came and I was like, I feel like I could sob right now, but I'm not. I'm gonna settle on giving it like a 4.5, 4.75. I wouldn't change anything. It was almost perfect. And I normally would just like accept as fact. Like, okay, yeah, cool. That time travel thing happened. I don't need to understand it. But just this book kind of found me at the wrong time and I was dissecting a little too hard, which makes me really sad, if I'm honest. That's what I've thought for the last 12 hours, that if I read this at any other time, even if I swapped the book that I'm reading now with this one and I read this one now that I'm alone in my room just reading, I probably would have given it 5 stars. But you know what? For a book to find you at the right time, you have to have books that find you at the wrong time. And that's just the name of the game. New Heir unlocked. Yeah, new character, new avatar. Auburn Maddie says hi. Today is in fact October 31st. Today is. So like, why are we still here? You know, I had that thought myself, but then I remember that this is my world, okay? This is my world and this video just lives in it, right? So we're gonna pretend it's not October 31st because you know what? I mean, are we surprised that I failed? I feel like we knew. We knew a failure was incurring, but I mean, books read never equals failure because time well spent. Words to live by. Put that on my headstone, okay? I mean, I think we knew that I was going to fail. I didn't think I was gonna fail this epically, you know, like being halfway through the second book on the last day of the month. However, you're right, I could finish this today and I want to. That's the plan, you know, that's where my mind is going, but that won't be anywhere near finishing the TBR Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark. That's what we're reading right now. That's what we're on. She's good. She's so good. As soon as I got into this, I feel like I forgot how badly I wanted Nessa's point of view when reading Brutal Prince. Like I feel like 30-40 pages in, maybe that's dramatic, 150 pages in, I wrote in the little side of my book, like, I hope we get Nessa's book soon, and it was next. So I'm very happy to get Nessa's book. And I liked The Brutal Prince so much more than I was expecting. I read that first in my 24-hour reading video, my most recent one. I actually really liked it. It was very much so good. You know those books? Great and amazing, good, not so good, bad. It was good. Like, I would recommend it. It was a fun time. I think it's a cool twist on like, cool twist is dramatic, but like on a palate cleanser, on a fun little romance palate cleanser, because it's different. They're like mob bosses. It's a little bit dark. It's a little bit fucked up. There's definitely some triggers, but it's like very light in terms of dark romance. Like there's two genres in my mind of dark romance. There's like dark romance that's like, that is fucked up, that is dark. I feel heavy reading it. I might enjoy it. I might, but it's intense. It's giving dark romance. And then there's this that's like, it's romance. They just happen to be abducting and killing people and in the mob. That's just kind of what they do. That's their thing. We're following Nessa and Miko in this one. Miko, he is Polish. She is from the Irish mob. And if you've read the first one, Nessa is, which if you've read the first one, I imagine you've already read this one. So I don't know why I made that distinction. Because these books came out, what, 8 years ago? I have no idea. Nessa is the little sister to the main character, Callum, in the first book. And she's also very close with Ada, which is the female main character in the first book. And she is the black sheep of the family, okay? She is our prima ballerina. Not actually. She just loves to dance. That's her thing. She's very soft-spoken. She's very sweet. A very happy, bubbly little cloud of joy, okay? And she grew up in a mob boss family. Miko is the adopted, mentally, not actually son of the butcher who had some issues in the first book. And now Miko wants to get revenge. And he's like, I'm gonna get revenge by abducting the sweet little sheep. And I'm gonna abduct little Nessa. And I am gonna keep her in my mansion and let her family go crazy looking for her. I will say something just happened that I was not expecting at all. I'm like just under halfway through this. It's such a quick, easy read. I say as I've been reading it for 2 days. I was at a hair appointment for like 10 hours yesterday. Not that that's an excuse. I could have read when I got home. If you've ever had extensions before, the post-appointment headache that new weight on your head gives you, yeah, it'll make you question things. It will. They're such easy, fun, light little reads. I will say I'm concerned that Nessa, being this cute little fun little cloud and just like loves life and is just so soft-spoken and can't speak up for herself, could get old if we're doing just that for the next 150 pages. Also, 130 pages in, like, just hate, disdain, no like anywhere in this room with us. So I mean, it's a romance. It has to turn around, right? Maybe it's not. We don't have much time to turn it around, but I'm hoping that we do. Also, these books with their beautiful little art in them and they're like finalizedness, the fact that they're songs and it's when the author would want the songs, like it tells you when to listen to them and stuff. They feel like such finalized pieces of fiction that are fun to read, and they feel like fiction. They're fun, they're quick, they're fast, and like I wanted this story. I'm having a lot of fun. We're gonna continue reading this, manifest that I can finish this today, because then at least this counts towards October books read, and then I think I will keep trying to finish the October TBR. I think so. But I mean, only future me can tell you the real answer to that. I guess you could look at how much time is left in the video and make a deduction if you think that there's another book in this. Manifesting that they fall in love and that I love them together, and somehow this man comes back to her family, because I don't know how with everything is right now. This man could come back from what he's done. That it's fiction. I do. I have full comprehensional understanding of that, okay? How could a man ever come back from this? How will we get from where we are to where I'm assuming we must end up? He literally kidnapped her to torture her family. How does a man come back from this? It's fiction, I understand, but I maybe just cannot buy it. Stockholm Syndrome, but make it romance. This did suffer a little bit from small girl syndrome, just small girl, very small, sweet angel baby girl. And that is probably my biggest takeaway from this, but I don't mean that in any offense, okay? I definitely didn't like this as much as Brutal Prince. Something about the pacing of this one felt off a little bit. It happened really fast in Brutal Prince as well. They're short, like they're like 300 and something pages, and there's a lot of disdain, like a lot of hate. I like got to like this point, maybe even further, and was like, I really, part one, I don't know, I told you, I don't know how this man could come back from this. I feel like he just did. There was a lot of a little bit whiplash, like something would happen and then on the next page it would be the exact opposite. I'm like, how? The jump, how did we, so that's not the decision that I would have made. I don't think, it's short, so like things have to happen quickly, and she really doubled down on the hate. There was like a little portion in the middle that the pacing just really felt off. Stuff happens really fast, but not for bad. It's not a bad thing. It still did its job. No wheels were reinvented, no lives were changed, but it was a great fun little palate cleanser. I didn't buy them as much as I think I wanted to throughout, but then in the end, like, you know what? Give me a couple in love. Done. Sold. I care about them now. I'm very easy to please, I think, is the issue. Wherein the issue then lies. Not bad at all. I'm gonna settle on giving it a 3.75. I gave the Brutal Prince a 4.25. This wasn't as good. It was so easy to read though. Like, I would recommend reading the series. It's so fun, it's quick, it's easy. It won't leave an imprint on my life. I think after finishing the series, I will like maybe think about all of them like in culmination together. I love the side characters. I love that you kind of know everyone. I love the like mob bossiness, the families doing the mob bossing thing together, and then like just some silly little romance author makes all the problems go away and everyone is happy together. And the mob boss families, they just agree to work together because love. I love that. I love it. It's fun, entertaining. Nessa's story with all of her dance and her being small girl and her being fragile and just kind-hearted and sweet, but also so intelligent and all of these other things was fun. It was like a fun twist. I feel like maybe I believed in Ada and Cal in Brutal Prince more because they were both brutal and they were both like, we both don't want this, but like, why am I fucking obsessed with you? Also, like, Cal groveled in Brutal Prince. I think that's what made Brutal Prince so damn good, is that man was like so jealous and so obsessed and like was groveling a lot. Loved that. I think that's what the difference was. Whereas in this, I feel like there was genuine hate and genuinely like, I didn't see the chemistry progression, and then it was like, okay, now we like him. It was just a little fast. However, it was fast and then I bought it later on. So who am I to say anything if we're honest? I think the series is fun. Like, they're fun twists on a palate cleanser. I like the mob bossiness of this. I also like that it's a cute little fun rom-com, but like she's not afraid to go there with the violence. Like, she goes there a little bit. Like, there are trigger warnings. There is blood and bones broken, okay? But it's not like egregious. Like, if you could read any other dark romance, or honestly like even a dark fantasy, it's not like more than that, but it's way more than a fun little romance. So it's like somewhere in the middle. It's its own kind of baby genre of rom-com dark romance killings. That's not a real genre, and it shouldn't be. Imagine seeing that as a take line on a book. I mean, realistically, I'd probably still buy it, but I have 4 left in this series, so we'll see which one ends up being my favorite. But so far, it's Brutal Prince, and then this. And this is another book checked off the TBR on October 31st. So like, yeah, no, fail across the board. A new book will be picked up tomorrow, and we're gonna try. We're not gonna try and finish the whole thing. We'll be here for another 2 weeks at this point, but we will read more, because again, it's my world, and this video is just living in it. I think 3.75. That's where this should settle. That's like what makes sense in my head. I feel like anything 3.75 and above, you should read it. It was good. It just wasn't my favorite thing ever. There's a lot of books that I've given 3.75 in the past that I think are 3.25. My rating system is evolving with me, and you can't knock a girl for evolving. Really think I was gonna put this on another TBR and still not finally read it? Honestly, if you did, I would knock you for it. That would probably be a pretty fair assumption. But I have never gotten more messages when I've added a book to my TBR than I did this time around with this book. So it's time. I cannot live in the delusion that if I don't read it, it'll be a 5-star for me for any longer. It's time. It's time to pick it up. I'm scared. Now I am. Now I'm procrastinating picking it up. What if it's not a 5-star for me? I want to be the person that this is a 5-star for. All I can do is read it and hope for the best. But I'm clearly going in with way too high expectations. There are 32 things listed on this map. 32. Here we go. Initial thoughts were, what the fuck? What? Like, how did we go from, in the same paragraph describing what Yale looks like, to a body that's being held open by metal clamps? That feels like quite the jump. It did. What is going on? If you asked me 20 pages ago, I'm not that far in, I'm on page 42. But if you asked me 20 pages, it did take me a good chunk of time. I did reread the first 8 pages 3 times, and I still didn't really get it. If you asked me 20 pages ago what I was feeling about this book, I would have just kind of looked at you like, and after rereading the first 8 pages 3 times, I did break my cardinal rule. I love going into a book blind. I went into this blind, read those 8 pages multiple times, and was like, what is going on? I don't understand what I'm reading. The words, they're sentences, but they're not words in my brain. It's not clicking to anything. So I did read the back, and it helped a lot. And then I kept reading, and even the second chapter, I feel like we got some establishing. I kind of understand what this is about. That was the exposition of that first chapter was a lot. But now I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that this is going to start to make sense. I asked my book club if any of them had read it, because I had read the first 8 pages 3 times at this point, and a lot of people are saying that they did the exact same thing. But Ava said, yes, my advice would be to just keep trucking. I was trying so hard to understand in the beginning, like every little thing, and like you won't. So just enjoy the parts you do understand. I don't know if that's comforting, but I think you will like it, which honestly, the most comforting thing I could have heard. And then someone also pointed out that it's like Masters of Death. You have to get used to it, and then it's worth it at the end. Which, yeah, the beginning of that book, it just felt like reading words on paper, and the beginning of this book kind of feels like that. Manifesting that this finds me at the right time, or that my brain can put the words into coherent sentences, not just reading the words on the paper. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see how this could be great. The storyline, what I'm getting so far, don't ask me what it's about yet. I couldn't even try and tell you. So I actually am quite a bit into the 9th house now, just 9th house. But I'm actually quite a bit into it now, and it's honestly been like a pretty good reading experience. I feel like at the point that I'm at now, which is chapter 8, page 132, which, yeah, it's giving criminally long chapters. They don't feel it in the moment. They feel kind of long, but it's not bugging me. Sometimes long chapters are like, I'm gonna rip my hair out. But at this point, I feel like I can pretty confidently say I know what's going on and that it's really good. Well, I don't know if I can confidently say or explain what's going on, but I can confidently say that it is really good. I am actually really liking it. This is really reminding me of last fall when I read The Atlas List 6 series. Like, it's giving me a lot of similar feelings, but this is actually, I find, easier to read and comprehend. We do just dive in there a little bit, but the scene sets quickly. I understand why we got the beginning that we did, but it felt really jarring. We're following Alex, Galaxy Stern. She's like the point of view we're predominantly in, and she is a part of ninth house at Yale. Now, I'm gonna try and break this down, but I have never claimed to be good at explaining a fantasy plot, a plot in general, but especially a dark academia fantasy plot. Basically, Yale is an epicenter of magic. When magic came over from Europe, this was like the epicenter that stuck. It had like the best lines for magic. It deals a lot with the conversation of like the veil and like what's behind the veil and like where we're drawing power from in this magical world, but it's modern day Yale. It's Yale, but there happens to be a lot of secret societies in Yale. And these secret societies all do different kinds of things. The 8 houses, the main secret societies, have different funnels of magic. Like, they do different things. They're for different purposes. And ninth house, which is Lathe, which is the society that Alex is a part of, was created because things were going awry in the 8 societies, and there needed to be someone to like check and keep in check all of the 8 houses. So rituals happen every single week, and a representative from Lathe, which in this case is Alex, has to go to make sure no grays interfere. This is where Alex's everything comes in. Grays are what they call people beyond the veil, ghosts essentially, but they lack color. Alex has always seen them in color. Alex has always been able to see ghosts. However, everyone else in Lathe has to take this like potion-esque thing to be able to see the grays, and they need to be able to see the grays so that the grays can't intervene with the rituals. That's the whole point of Lathe. They're all secret societies tied together, and they're in Yale because there's a magical epicenter in Yale, and it's very much dark academia. Like, we have to keep our funding and we have to keep things going, and also like these secret societies are like the movers and shakers of the world. Very interesting. Alex has had a harrowing life. She has seen ghosts, the grays, in full color since she was a child, and she's had some terrifying experiences. It's not ghosts in like a spooky paranormal-y way, it's ghosts in a dark academia fantasy. They were just there, and some of them are stronger than others. But now, in the world that we're set in right now, where Alex is at Yale as the youngest part of ninth house, Lathe, basically the way that Lathe works, you inherit titles. So there is someone like kind of at the top of the student body, people that is graduated and she's working on like a thesis kind of thing. Then there's the guy right under her, which is Darlington, and the premise of this is that he's not here right now, and Alex should have him leading her, but we don't know why, but he's not here right now. Something happened. And then a 3-year gap, Alex will be the youngest person, kind of learning all the ropes for 3 years, and then someone will be appointed under her. And Alex was chosen for this scholarship for this position because she can see ghosts, but there was no world that she would have gotten into Yale with the path that she was on. So this is kind of like her fresh start. There's obviously because of the point of the we're in the book, something has to be going on. Something's going on, and something is weird is happening. Something is going on with the grays. There's a little bit of a mysterious situation going on. Where I'm at now is a lot of still scene setting. Like, we've gotten like trickles of things that are happening, are leading us in different directions, but I don't know what the exact plot is going to be yet. At this point, that is how my brain has understood what is going on, and I do understand it. It's really entertaining. This is definitely like an easier reading experience for me than like Babel or the Atlas 6. Like, I thought this was going to be really intense dark academia vibes, like hard to understand, and it is, but it still has like wittiness and funniness to it. I will say, if you told me that a different person wrote this than the person that wrote Six of Crows, I would believe you. It's very, very adult. It's written kind of pretentiously, but not overly. Like, not Olivia Blake level pretentious, but they both feel important. I love Olivia Blake's pretentiousness. You guys know that. Favorite reading experience. I love reading stuff like this that makes me kind of feel like I'm in school, but it's gripping. Like, I feel smart. Like, I feel like I'm learning something, but it's not like overdoing it. It's much more gripping than I was anticipating. I thought it would be good in like a that was rewarding and I have to respect how good it was kind of way, versus like this is actually like really just straight up entertaining. Like, this is a dark academia that is reading kind of pretentious, kind of like, we know we're dark academia and that we're a little bit better than you, but it's really digestible. Like, I think anyone could really enjoy this. It's kind of slow. It has that telltale kind of like gripping into things, and there's been moments that I was really confused, but honestly past like the 20-page mark, I've been really in it, and the story's been pretty easy to follow. It's so far past the end of October, so far, not even cutely in November. We are in November, so this is kind of just, we're just reading together at this point. The title be damned. I am in fact going away today. My suitcase is sitting right here, so I'm just gonna read this as things come, as time goes, how much time I have. So if you were thinking about picking it up, me right now, the little romantic lover, cheesy little rom-com lover, is eating this up. Just saying. No, because these videos are fucking cursed. Fucking cursed. I don't know what it is about the TBR finishing videos that are goddamn cursed. Happy November 16th. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, I did finish this a couple days ago. I know this was a finishing my October TBR in a week video. I know. We lost the plot so long ago, it's not even funny. Like the plot, she's nowhere in sight. Like the plot in the other room, on another continent, not here with us right now. This is so embarrassing, so embarrassing. Okay, this is gonna be a theme for this video. I think I read this at the wrong time. Oh my god, yeah, no, it's been a time. It's been a time. I'm going through something, aren't I? Is this me realizing right now that I'm definitely going through something? If my voice sounds weird, I was at Taylor Swift 2 nights ago and it hasn't recovered yet. Literally know why you're here. I don't know where I'm gonna leave this. I have no complaints, none. I feel like the best way that I can explain is it's like just as in depth, just as entertaining, just as like gripping and you feel smart reading it as the Atlas 6, but way easier to understand. I feel like even if I reread the Atlas 6 series now, I would notice so much that I didn't notice the first time. And I would definitely notice stuff on a reread of this that I didn't notice the first time, but this feels like a more digestible dark academia perfection masterpiece. I don't know where I'm gonna rate it because I don't know if it was a 5 for me because of how I read it. Every single time that I got to sit down and read it, I was locked in the story again. I was really barely, yeah, exactly. I was really very rarely bored. Like I didn't find this overly long-winded. I felt like I was flipping the pages really fast, even though like it's a dense book and like lots happens. The world is established really well. I cannot believe that Leigh Bardugo wrote this and Six of Crows. They are immaculate in completely different ways. And I know that this was Leigh Bardugo's first like adult book, but I just feel like she was meant to write in both genres, which is genres, classifications, age ranges, regardless. I think she did such a good job. This is range. This is range. I loved it. I think if I was in a setting that I could just like kind of read it straight, didn't have a lot going on, was just like not on a plane and like on another continent on the other side of the world for 5 days in between, I would have like just loved it. I love the story in this. Like I loved the execution of this. I loved the characters. It was very well written and it was dark. It was dark. It read dark, but not scary. I don't know. I really very much so liked it. I guess that's what dark academia is, right? It has to be dark. Executed beautifully, executed to perfection. I just need to like probably sit on it and see how much I think about it or add it to my rereads pile with The Unmaking of Jane Farrow. No, I'm fine. I swear I'm so fine. I'm not in a reading slump. If I keep telling myself, then I won't be in one, right? It's like, maybe it's right there and I just haven't crossed the threshold yet. You can't win them all. If you were thinking of reading this, you like Olivia Blake and you read like me, I really think you should. But give it like more time to breathe, like give it more oxygen, a bigger room to live in than I gave it, because this book was fighting for its life in the situation that I read it in terms of how much I was gonna like it. Does that analogy even make sense? Probably not. And it still slayed. So with the perfect settings, I think it'd be so good. I must say, I need to go into Hellbent right now. I will say that. But like, what if I'm still not in the right headspace? Who knows? That was a week of me trying to finish my TBR, but actually it's not. It's literally, that's not what this was. It's not what it ended up being. Like really early on, that's not what it ended up being. You know when you go into something with the absolute best intentions, as long as you're there, it's never a failure, except for the fact that this is a failure. Yeah, didn't accomplish the week timeline, the books read, or like really enjoying the reading part. That felt like that was missing a little bit. I'm gonna have an existential crisis sitting here right now. If you're still here and you were on this roller coaster with me, can I think of 1,132,000 words to say I love you? Because that still wouldn't be enough. Yeah, no it wouldn't, but I do. I love you with everything in me. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I really hope to see you in the next one when things are like a little bit more controlled chaos. This was just out in the open chaos. Love you. Bye. This was a disaster. A disaster.